homeless people. That's the first thing you want to do is get them off the streets. I mean, middle class people been working here and off and on. Poverty people been working here and off and on. Homeless people's work history is so dated, even if they went to work to apply for a job, they look at the gaps in the work history. That's your first, in other words, they're seen unemployable by employers because of their lack of work history. Even if they went and applied for work, the lack of work history, for whatever reason, keeps them unemployed as well. On top of, it's just not enough jobs. See, they ain't telling you that. So the jobs that Joe Biden and the likes of Joe Biden adds to the workforce, homeless people and poverty people even don't see those jobs. Those jobs are most likely jobs that require some type of trade or degree. It's not a job that you can go skip around the block and get, in other words. And they are insulting your intelligence by insinuating that it's like that. We just added 1,000 jobs. They acting like you can go around the corner and get a job now. Oh, come on. And you thought it and I thought it too. Yeah, you did. Every time they told you they added a certain amount of jobs, you thought that meant in your community, around the way where you can go get the job. In other words, you thought it applied to you on the ground level where you could be like, where you can just go, it's easy and accessible for you to get. He's at the American government, I guarantee you, and you know it when you think about it, you know I'm right. They're adding jobs that require trades and degrees. Come on, man. Don't be simple. They're adding jobs that requires degrees in trades, trade degrees and certifications. It's not a new job at Wendy's. It's not a new job at Checkers. It's not a new job at Kmart. It's not a new job at Walmart. It's not a new job at Home Depot. It's jobs that you can't get because you need certification. And it takes a certain amount of time to get that certification. Probably take a little money to get the certification. Pretty sure it does. Therefore, boxing out many unemployed people. Definitely people that are homeless. These jobs that the likes of Joe Biden is adding to the workforce, it's not jobs that homeless people can go get, in other words. Therefore, all the addings of these jobs is still not jobs that homeless people can have. So you didn't think about that. That's for all you sophisticated people. Well, I just don't see how people are not working. Because everybody can't work at the same time in America. And you can come up with all the excuses and all what you could do, and nothing you can do. Ain't nothing you can do. Everybody can't work at the same time, folks. What you gonna say to that? Well, these homeless people need to go get a job. We all have to work. We all have to become responsible. We all have to become adults and do what we don't want to do to survive. Well, unfortunately, here in America, everyone cannot go and partake of working responsibilities because there's not enough jobs for the people to take hold of working responsibilities. Everyone cannot do these things. I know you thought it was as simple as it going to apply because you're a simpleton. You're a simple person that do not think. They do not have enough jobs. for everyone. When some of the job opens, you think there's 333 million job openings right now? That's how many people are in your country. Do you think right now, June 21st, 2022, there are at least 300 million job openings? You think it is? So how many job openings do you think it is in America right now? In all of America, in all her glory, how many job openings do you think it is? I would say between 50 to 90 million job openings. While you got still 200 million people that don't have an opportunity. About 50 to 90 million solid job openings. Think about it now. Think about it. That's about right. That's about right. 50 to 90 million job openings. You know how many people live here? Do you know how many people live here in America? That would be 333 million plus. When you have 50 to 90 million solid job openings right now. You know that's about right. So you think it's 200 million job openings right now? Come on, man. Don't deceive yourself. Don't deceive yourself with your thinking. People do it in many different ways. You're deceiving yourself with your own thinking. Everyone cannot be employed here in America right now, especially with all this going on, right? And safe to say, everybody can't receive a living wage right now, even if they did get employed. That part. So in other words, they would just be working without the ability to pay for a place to stay, especially in the expensive cities. They would be working, but they would not have enough to pay bills. So even if you did employ many people, you think all these jobs got living wages? You think all these jobs, especially according to their cities, but have all living wages? Thank you, Lord, for this information. You are a fool if you believe that. You are deceived if you believe that. There's many places, especially cities like San Francisco and even here in New York City. The jobs that they offer are not enough for someone to go and get an apartment and pay bills. I ain't talking about a car with the apartment, even though that would be nice. I'm talking about just the basic rent, the rent, the utilities, the water and the electricity. There are jobs here because of the cost of living in New York City and the cost of living in San Francisco and the cost of city all across the country. As it is skyrocketing, most jobs for slow people, you don't know this, most jobs then become a non-living wage. As soon as these cost of livings go up, as soon as the bills go up, as soon as all this stuff go up, many jobs become non-living wages. And it's easy to say to get a second job. It's easy to say you did it, but everybody can't do it. And until you realize that, You're living in this fantasy world, this fictitious world, this alter reality where you think everyone can work at the same time. And here's the punchline. You also are thinking that everyone can receive a living wage with the cost of living going up. The cost of living is constantly going up. And sometimes, unfortunately, the minimum wage is not going up with the cost of living. This is how it should be. The cost of living goes up, minimum wage goes up. You know how long it takes for minimum wage to catch up with cost of living in most cities? It takes years, half a decade, sometimes 15 years. 5 to 15 years it can take for minimum wage to catch up with the cost of living, which means many people are employed, but they don't have a living wage. They can't live off of it. They can't survive. They can't have a place to stay off of it. So guess what they do? They have to get a roommate and have 2 jobs or more just to make ends meet. While you talk about everybody could be working. While you talk about everybody can be employed, many people are not even making a living wage that are employed. You know what they're doing? They working to please you. They working for your acceptance in your society. While some people don't even care. I don't care. I don't care. You can look down on me. I'm too smart for this foolishness. I'm too smart for this foolishness. Meanwhile, people that work that don't receive a minimum, a living wage, because maybe the cost of living is too high in their city, you're still putting money in the pockets of these rich people. I'm gonna let that resonate. The people that are not receiving a living wage are still making money. You put it all together, all the people that's not making a living wage, that's making somebody all together, all of it together is making somebody still be in a good situation financially. Somebody. So in other words, while some people don't even have enough money to live and be independent on their own, someone else is living wealthy off of their efforts. Someone else is doing very well off of the collective efforts of people that work and don't work for a living wage. There's someone that is living very well while they're not even able to get their own place off the collective community that works, that works for a non-living wage. There's someone that's collecting all those people together that work for a non-living wage. All of them together is making someone live good. They're not on the streets. For all these people, like I said, collectively speaking, that means all together, all the people that's working, but the money is not enough for them to get an apartment. They're still working, and all the little monies that is taken from their working is adding up all together. All of them that works that can't get their own apartment, all of them working together across the country makes enough money for someone out there in America to live wealthy, to live decently, let alone everybody being employed, let alone all the homeless people being employed. And I like to say it like this. If all the homeless people went and looked for work, let's just say tomorrow or this morning, if everybody went to apply for work, there wouldn't be enough job openings. Let that resonate. If all the homeless people that's on the streets presently right now, as of June 21st, 2022, if they all decided, let us all go apply for work. Everybody, the whole homeless community in the whole country went and applied for work. Excuse me. There would not be enough job openings. So now we come to this space and time and place and time where you have to stop yelling out your window while you're on your way to work. Go get a job. The end of that era is now. You can't be that working rat that yells out your car, go get a job, when everyone can't do it. It's total ignorance. Sitting up talking about go get a job. And then if you do, you don't know according to the city you're living in, if it's going to be a living wage. That's based on the city. You know that? So in other cities, it differs what the living wage is. If I go to somewhere in the South, in Georgia, or even Kansas, a living wage, for people that don't understand what this means, it has to, the cost of living has to complement, has to be low enough based on the minimum wage for it to be a living wage. So in other words, if the cost of living is way up here and the jobs in the area, the minimum wage is way down there, then they're not going to be able to get a place to stay because of the cost of living. And they can work their lives off, they can work their heart out. But if you're in a place like New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, this is why it's so much homelessness. It explains it. In those particular cities, San Francisco, it's so much homelessness there. It was one of the highest places for cost of living as well. That's what you're not looking at. You're looking at just, it's people that just don't want to work and want to party all the time. I wish I could party I had the luxury of partying all the time. I would do it too. Well, it's not that only. It's some of it. I'm gonna be 100. It's some of it. Some people do want to that's all they want to do. However, if you go to San Francisco particularly and look at the cost of living, it is one of the highest places for the cost of living in the whole country. So how is a homeless person going to get a place to stay? Even if they're working, that is not going to be able to compete with the cost of living in San Francisco. The only way that will work where homeless people come up and they can get a place to stay like that is somewhere like in Georgia or Iowa or Kansas, North Dakota, South Dakota, somewhere, Nebraska. They can go there. The cost of living is fairly low, including motels and hotels. And they can get, in the minimum wage there, will be able to get them either a hotel, a motel, or an apartment. Because the cost of living is not that high in those places like Iowa, Kansas, Georgia, in certain parts of Georgia, in North Dakota, South Dakota. So cost of living has to complement the minimum wage. If the cost of living does not complement the minimum wage, where the minimum wage is able to get the person an apartment or a house or a place to live, then the minimum wage is nothing. It's just working for someone else. That's all it is. It can't get you what you need. And that's why you see the homelessness in the places with the highest level of cost of living. While you're simple, not thinking about it. Okay, the cost of living is crazy. How that homeless person is ever going to get off the street is besides me. I don't know. That's what you should be saying. That's what you should be saying. Well, you know how you're struggling yourself. You know how you're struggling. And that's some of you in middle class. You're struggling. You don't have food. Yeah. It's not just limited to you better go. They need to make documentaries on these middle class people because they're without food these days. They're without gas these days for their cars. They're without most things that poor people are without too. While you thinking middle class got it going on, you thinking they got monies put away for a rainy day, and they don't. So see, check yourself. You've been acting like everybody could do this and everybody can do that. And in all actuality, it cannot be done as of June 21st, 2022. Everybody cannot work, and even if they was working, they don't have a living wage. A living wage is not offered to them. Therefore, they still remain in homelessness. Do you know there's some people that work from the streets? There are some homeless people that work from the streets. They still on the streets, literally. I've seen it. I've heard it. Going somewhere and sleeping on the streets and working. Working, man. So it's safe to assume working merely alone is not enough. Why you yelling at the car, go get a job? Well, for you dumb morons that don't think, just working is not going to get them off the streets. In other words, you still might be seeing them on the streets. Hey, he may have a job. He may work third shift, done just got off. But he's still living on the streets because the cost of living is too high in his city. Why you talking about yelling out the window getting a job? It's not that era anymore. If it was, it's not that era now. I think it never was. I don't think this country could ever have employed all of its citizens. Ever. While you yelling out the window, get a job. You're basically saying that to everyone that's homeless. That's what you're doing. That's what the insinuation is. That's what the insinuation is. When you yell out the car, go get a job, you're insinuating that to the whole homeless community, right or wrong. But they can't go do it, bruh. They can't go do it. And even if they did get employed, here's the punchline. Like I said, they will still not have a living wage. That is something you need to investigate. All you yelling at the car kind of people, you need to investigate a living wage and what that means. You need first start with the definition. Don't take my word for it. Educate yourself properly. Go see what a living wage is first, by definition. You could do Webster definition. Just go see what it means. When you get that, then see in each city how what's the percentage on these jobs according to the cost of living? What's the percentage of jobs that are living wages? What are the percentages of jobs in these great metropolises that are living wages? In all these cities, go see the percentage rate on living wages jobs. Living wage jobs. Go through all these great metropolises that you so dearly love and go see the percentage rate on living wage jobs there before you yell out the window at a great metropolis, in a great metropolis. You all in a great metropolis and don't even know what's going on. Yeah. And see, that's the problem here. Everyone's ignorant. It's the truth. Because you never thought about it. You never thought about it. You sitting up here hating these people that are subject to your government. They're subject to what they do and they don't do. And you sitting up here hating them. It's a shame.